Welcome. Today I want to talk to you about a subject that I find really critical to all of our success as we move through life, and that's about the issue of change. And when we talk about change, there's two ways to look at things. We can either come at change in a reactive way or a proactive way. So in this course, what I want to help us do is look at change as something that is a positive, something in which we should be taking proactive action rather than reacting and waiting for things to happen to us. We should be really looking to anticipate what's going to be coming, making plans for it, and enjoying the change to its full potential. So the objectives for this course are going to tackle issues as learning how to perceive change in a positive way and use change situations as opportunities. Also to discover how change affects you personally and how it impacts your personality. Also to share and discover successful transition strategies and to apply these learnings by ways of practical reflection exercises. So one of the things that we want to start by doing is understanding, well, what is change? How do you personally define change? I want you to take a minute and think about that, and I want you to ask yourself, when you hear the word change, what are some of the things that come to mind? Are your first responses positive or are they negative? What are the first words that come to your mind when you hear the word change? Do you think, oh no, that's hard, scary, uncomfortable? Or do you think things such as opportunity, wow, new, exciting, fresh, different? Or maybe you're somewhere in between, where you're excited and scared all at the same time. So, point of departure, understand how you first respond when you hear that a change is going to occur. So we're going to look at some of the definitions of change that exist through different authors and management gurus. So basically, if we look at the words of William Bridges, he tells us change is how things evolve. He also says change is how we get to wherever we are, and change is how we'll continue the trip. Collerette and DeLille tell us that any modification that has a durable nature observed in the culture or structure of an organized system is a change. Basically, what we need to understand is that change is a critical pattern in evolution. Without change, we stagnate, and if we stagnate, eventually we go the way of the dinosaur. Therefore, as human beings, we need to evolve, which is always going to require some level of change. Think about technology, how we've evolved. Think back to the days when a typewriter was common use. Today, would that seem normal to you to want to use a typewriter? Probably not. But if you were of age to live through that transition, initially you may have resisted the computer, thinking, what is wrong with the typewriter? I'm perfectly content with my typewriter. Same thing we've lived through in a lot of things, whether it's medicine, we've already talked about technology, but just evolution in general. So basically, change in and of itself is not bad. The thing that often holds us back as human beings is that we really are creatures of comfort, and the power of comfort cannot be underestimated. We seek what we know. We have comfort with our current state, and we often need time to pause and reflect before deciding whether or not the change is good or whether or not we want to get on board. And yet, we don't always have the luxury of that time. Sometimes things are happening faster than we'd like them to. So, what we need to understand is that change in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. What we must go through in the process of transition is often where we are challenged as human beings. So basically, the challenges of transition are that we need to evolve through a zone of discomfort, and we also need to be able to perceive change as positive. If we immediately see change as negative, it is going to hinder our capacity to manage through the discomfort. And also, as we transition through change, we need to be able to take some risks. If we don't risk, we don't gain. So we might say, yeah, if I don't risk, I stay status quo. But status quo means no evolution and no growth. And that's just not how it can be in human nature. Okay, so we've come to the conclusion of Module 1, and in this module we spoke about change and how you personally respond to change. We also talked about some definitions of change and why people in general resist change in their lives. In Module 2, we're going to look at the 3 phases of change, and we'll go into greater depth about each phase and how to deal with each one.